So for you personally, what are your favorite categories as far as profitability and just like less returns, things like that, versus your this category you stay away from?
Honestly, I don't really stay away from too many categories unless I'm, gated in that like DVDs or whatever I don't sell. But clothing category has done really well for me in the past. I've
Nice.
really tried to expand into like the beauty and grocery category this year.
Uh-huh.
And then one of my VAs is really good at finding tools in home improvement, automotive, lawn and
Nice.
garden, stuff like that. So I've branched out a little bit into those categories more this year.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, all those categories have made me some sort of profit. Obviously, like I'm, more versed in some of the clothing and accessories categories, so I've done the best in the past there. But the returns are a little bit higher, just something you have to deal with.
Right.
But if you know that category well and you know the brands, you're just gonna have an easier time finding products.
Right. Right. And I'll also say, apparel and whatnot, even though it has a high return rate, if you can find the return on investment at least like 40%, 50% and offset the return rate, it works out. Because I see a lot of hate on apparel and shoes, and understandably so, right? But if you're purchasing to offset that return rate from the very beginning, you're not going to have that, negative experience. Um, so as far as apparel, is there a certain category within apparel? Are you talking about more like shoes or more like clothing, like bottoms, tops? What is it that you find that is doesn't give you much of a high return rate versus others?
I've sold shoes in the past, and if I find a good shoe listing, I will purchase, but I don't really source a ton of shoe listings. So
Okay.
it's mostly clothing,
Oh,
anything
okay.
clothing. I'll sell whatever my VAs find, whatever I find. So
Right.
like I said, I'll do some shoes, but I'm not doing a ton of shoes at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I started with shoes and apparel. I've kind of transitioned more to like grocery, supplements, and vitamins and stuff just because of the return rate.
Yeah.
But there's so many shoes and apparels that I still sell from back from a year ago that I'll still sell that I've noticed doesn't have a high return rate. And I've been trying to correlate that information, but I gave up because it was random things that people wouldn't return as much as another brand size. And you have like a Nike bra that didn't get returned as much as some Nike bottoms. It was just strange. But you won't know that, you won't have your own information like that until you go in and take a risk and sell it, right? uh
Yep.
Keepa's
Exactly.
only going to give you so much, but it's not better than the data you have yourself, so okay. uh so Me personally, I use Buybot Pro extension as my calculator to analyze leads on listings and check if they're profitable. Um, it's just, extensions I feel like don't have they have value for sure, but you can find various kinds of calculator. But me personally, I've just used Buybot Pro recently. I think you need to have some sort of extension with like a Google Sheet, especially if you're trying to communicate to your VAs or bookmark that listing to find later. Because I will say, I think the best thing I might have done since I started was always record all my leads. Right, all my leads have been recorded for the past year and a half, so I've been able to go back and filter by the brand and stuff like that. So could you please elaborate on the different kinds of tools and software that you use and that you'd recommend?
Definitely. Yeah, my profit calculator tool is SellerAmp. There's a like you said, there's a bunch of different ones out there. SellerAmp is what I'm most familiar with. I've been using it for a long time now, and they do have the Google Sheet export feature.
Right.
And it's easy to implement with my VAs. So they each have their own, and it's an easy way to track their leads. And I can transition those leads to my sheets if I need, or specific sheets. But I also have like seasonal sheets and sheets that need disc or products that need discounts, different things like that. So, yeah, SellerAmp makes it pretty easy for that. I also Keepa is definitely a staple. If you're not using Keepa, I'm not sure how you're finding profitable products or
It's like
products that sell,
you in your first 6 months type.
feed me. Yeah, yeah. Don't make that the same mistake. Definitely something I wish I had earlier on.
For
But
sure.
and then I do have Seller Board. It's like kind of
Nice.
just helps me calculate my profits, similar to like the way Inventory Lab does it.
Right.
And then I also have Inventory Lab for prepping shipments, and my prep centers both use Inventory Lab, which is really nice because I'm super familiar with it. I've used it myself before getting a prep center for almost a year. So
Mhm.
I know exactly how to check inventory and prep products myself. And then now my prep center is using it as well. So it's just an easy transition there.
Right.
I do have Be Cool as my repricer.
Right.
So that is again a software that I just started with, and I've learned to love it, and it's been very helpful to me. And
Sure.
yeah, I have a couple videos on my YouTube channel
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
how to use it and how I use it. So yeah, it's that software definitely helps when you start to do some decent sales numbers, because
Right.
and when you get a couple more listings on your storefront, it's just hard to keep up with trying to, especially this time of year, having the buy box more often. And it's going to bounce around a lot because Amazon is going to give it to whoever can provide a product quickly, right? It's not going to be price based as much because the demand is so high. It can be a buy box at $90 compared to the other ones at 80, because you can send it 2-day shipping while the others have a week and a half lead time. So those
Right.
are kind of the main softwares that I really recommend starting with, or at least getting over time, because it's only going to help you scale that much quicker.
Agreed. Agreed to everything you said. Also, the repricer, even I would even recommend it when you have like even 20 listings. You don't have to get the AI on
Yeah,
there.
there's a cheaper version, and
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, if you're spending too much time repricing every day, it's
you
just
will.
such a hands off tool. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely, yeah, you're right. You can definitely get it earlier on.
You become almost addicted to constantly checking your price, especially when you first start, because it's kind of that shiny object syndrome when you first start. So you want to constantly check your
Yep.
prices, and you'll notice you're gonna be at a huge disadvantage when the other 20 people on that listing are just changing their prices automatically, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? So
Yep.
even at 20 listings, hell, even at 10, it's just $20 a month as far as Be Cool goes for their non-AI plan.
Mhm.
Um, so I've recently I've used Be Cool. I've also used Profit Protector Pro, which I think I got recommended that by Duke Does Amazon, right?
Mhm.
Both same concept. They both do the same thing. As long as you have one, I think it's the way to go. Also, Seller Board. Can't speak enough about Seller Board. I knew my numbers to a degree until I installed or integrated Seller Board with my Seller Dash, and it's giving me all this information. And the best thing about it is it's almost like your leads uh, software or data, right? Because you can go to your last month, last 6 months, and see which one was your best selling ASIN.
Yep.
And I think that pales in comparison to just having a bunch of spreadsheet that to keep up with that information.
I agree.
So
Yeah, that tool is, I've only found it not super long ago, probably 5 or 6 months. But yeah, it's the amount of detail and data on your products, as well as like how to when to replan. That is just, it's been a huge bump to the business.
awesome.